Hi, everybody. It's episode 523 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It is Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. I am Chris, with me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here.
You almost sound confused for a second there.
Look, I've been super busy and productive and working a lot and recording and editing a lot to try to catch up that I'm just like, I am spacey.
I don't know. I mean, you spent the first 15 minutes here just stretching, like some sort of athlete or something.
I have to. Actually, to be 100% honest, too, my ankle is now feeling better than it has been all day after the stretch.
I mean, that's usually medical advice, like stretch, and it makes muscles feel better.
It makes muscles stretch.
Yeah.
But
especially muscles that you haven't used really in, 3 months now? 4 months?
Yeah.
3?
It was, what was it? 3, technically 3, but like, so for the first 2 months, I was in a full cast or splint. And then after that, when I was in the boot, I would take the boot off and I would like at least move it up and down and stretch it a bit, but not like walk on it heavily. The boot actually prevents you from putting too much weight on it, even when you're stepping on the boot, because the boot wraps around your entire leg and uses your entire leg and itself as a support. It's really weird technology that somehow works. That makes no sense. And then.
But now you're going on full like 10K runs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You skipped right over the physical therapy. You stretch your foot for 5 minutes and then you just go out and you just sprint for 45 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. No,
I'm full sprinting. You don't even warm up.
It's been 2 weeks since I was told to start weaning myself off the boot, and I just started walking up and down steps without the boot. I tend to wear the boot in the morning when I first wake up because that's when it's like the most uncomfortable and painful. And then after a while, I take it off and I'll start walking around my house a bit more without the boot. Still takes me a bit to get up and down steps, but c'est la vie, right?
Hey, as long as you don't like shit your pants on the way up the stairs or something like that, it's not that big of a deal.
I have not yet.
Right?
Well, you never know.
I'm just saying, until you have an accident because you can't get upstairs fast enough, going up and downstairs, not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So, just never wait too long.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got nothing else. Rich, what's on the agenda?
On the agenda, Chris saw the movie Smile. I played like 20 minutes of the Bloodborne DLC. We'll have a little bit to talk about, but not much. It's my first time in it.
I didn't even know there was Bloodborne DLC, so this is news to me.
If you're watching my Bloodborne Let's Play, you'll see it in about, not next week, not this week, not next week, but the week, no, next week. You'll see it next week, I believe. If you're watching my Bloodborne deal.
That's too far out. Release it tonight. Release the Richard cut.
No, you'll be ahead of. You'll miss stuff.
That's fine. That means everything else is a prequel.
No, I don't do that. Cobb, you played.
Be an unreliable narrator, damn it.
You played Fields of Mistria, and then
This is just a question I wanted to pose to you guys.
Cobb wants to talk about console exclusives, and I don't know. Have you guys been paying attention to Gamescom? Anything you guys are seeing from that? Obviously, I'm seeing a lot of Monster Hunter shit, and I'm excited for it all. Like, literally everything they've showed for Monster Hunter, I'm excited for.
I have skipped all of it.
They did like a hour-long dev Q&A with the game playing in the background. I went to listen to it to watch it today during work, but it was like in an open hall where there's other people talking as well, and it's like, I don't even... it's like... Some people are like not Japanese, but speak some other language. I think it's French, to be honest.
Could be German since they're in Germany.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
They're Germans. There's German people that are then being translated into English, asking Japanese people. It's then being translated into English, and it's just a bunch of like my brain couldn't process it. Also, while doing work and watch it, so I was unfortunately unable to watch that. I might try to like. Just have it on in the background at some point to watch it and not listen to it. But yeah, there's I don't really know what else is going on in Gamescom. I just know Monster Hunter, and I am excited for Monster Hunter Wilds. It's looking great.
I mean, technically today is day one, so it's it's wrapped up at this point because it's in Germany, so it's 7 hours ahead or something like that. 8 hours. I think
it's 6 or 7.
Because I know it's in Cologne, which I believe is further east. Maybe?
No, Cologne is like southwest Germany.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I obviously do not know much about geography, so there's that. But yeah, today was the first day. Last night was opening night live, like the thing that Keeley does, where he shows off a bunch of trailers and stuff, and then today is where all the convention style things were happening.
Yeah.
But I did watch that movie, Smile. I'm not sure if you guys have even heard of it. You've probably seen the poster.
Nope.
I think I've heard of it. Smile or Smile 2? Because Smile 2 is...
It's not out yet. That comes out in, I want to say, October. So Smile's one of those movies, like, the poster for it is literally just, like, this lady, and she just has, like, a very, like, wide smile, but dead eyes. Like, it's one of those sort of, like, creepy looks. It was one of those movies where I kept seeing the poster for it when it was originally out, and kept going, oh, that looks like it's probably creepy, and then forgetting about it. And then when I saw Deadpool 3, what was that, 2 weeks ago now? That was one of the trailers that played in front of it was Smile 2. And I'm like, oh, right. Like, that first one seemed like it could have possibly been creepy, and this makes it look like it is in the vein of that. So we watched it late last week. I forget exactly what day it was. Super weird idea for, like, a horror movie. Reminds me a little bit of, like, It Follows sort of thing, where there's just some sort of weird supernatural thing that causes people to die, but also just attaches to, like, the next person in line by a set of circumstances. And there's very little actual, like, shock value, like, well, not shock value, that's the wrong word, because there's not like a lot of, like, ghosts or demons or, like, creepy stuff in it. It is very much like a psychological horror for 90% of it. Because basically what happens is that your main character, she is like a psychiatrist or psychologist, whichever one would typically work at a hospital. And she gets brought in to talk to, like, a college-age girl who is having some sort of meltdown after having seen her professor kill himself with a hammer. Like, apparently the guy, like, bashed his own brains in front of her. And so the psychiatrist goes in and is talking to her, and after a few minutes, the girl just gets this really wide smile, and then proceeds to take a razor, dig it in under her ear, and just drag it all the way under her neck into the other ear, while smiling the whole time. And then, obviously dies, because that's how you kill yourself. And so it sends the doctor on this kind of spiral as she starts seeing that it's like a chain of events, and people keep seeing somebody kill themselves, and then a week later kill themselves. And to everyone around her, she just seems like she lost it. Like, she saw a very traumatic thing and just fucking came undone from it. But because you're kind of following her point of view, you're seeing all of the other stuff. And obviously it's a movie, so there's probably something weird going on. There is always the chance that it's a twist at the end and really nothing bad was happening. But it does a couple good, like, jump scares that you definitely don't expect. One of them actually got Erica. We were sitting there. She was working on something, and she looked up at the TV, like, just as the thing happened, and actually had, like, an audible, like, ah, and it was just like, oh, I haven't gotten scared like that in a while.
I'm watching trailers as you're talking about it. Not to tarnish it, not to talk bad about it, but some of the scenes that I'm seeing in these trailers just makes the movie look just incredibly generic horror.
It's weird. It has a feel like that, but the actual, like, idea on it just seems a little more original. Like I said, like, It reminds me of something like It Follows. Something where there is some sort of weird supernatural thing happening, but it's not really the catalyst that's, like, making the character do things the way that something like a Nightmare on Elm Street or a Jason or even like the Conjuring movies, where, like, those movies are all built around the suspense of something supernatural actually doing something. This is actually watching this character sort of slowly descend into madness while also realizing that there is something supernatural happening. It's just not. It is not what's making her slip into madness. She is doing that to herself. The supernatural thing is just going to come for her at the end.
Yeah.
And it does. By the end of the movie, like, you don't really entirely know what to expect. And there's a couple of times throughout where she has very vivid hallucinations, almost like waking dreams, where something very violent happens, and then she suddenly like startles awake. And sometimes you see that happen, and you can just tell that it is some sort of dream sequence. Like, there's a scene where she's stabbing somebody, and just the looks on everyone's faces while it's happening, before even like the ridiculous stuff happens, you're just like, okay, this isn't actually what's happening. And it ends up not being. But then there's a few others where you're like, oh, okay, like, that was very climactic. Like, that seems like the quote unquote final thing, and they're going to find like a real solution for it. And then it ends up like that was a dream, and it goes into something else. Like, they do a good job kind of messing with your perceptions of what you think is going to happen. And because it's a horror movie, like, especially like a modern horror movie, you're always left with that. They don't always let the main character survive. Like, there are as many of those movies now where like your main person survives as they end up dead. Or one of the main people ends up dead, depending on like if it's a bunch of characters or one. In this case, it's really just one interacting with a handful of other people in her life.
So this movie's in the same universe as How I Met Your Mother?
Why do you say that?
Because Cal Penn plays a therapist.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot he was a therapist in that.
He was Robin's therapist. They have different names, but like, he changed his identity because he dated his patient, and so he almost lost his license.
It also happens in New Jersey, which is not that far from Manhattan.
Exactly. So this, you know what? Harold and Kumar and How I Met Your Mother and Smile, all connected universes.
And House.
And House. Was Cal Penn in House?
He was one of the like the second generation doctors.
I did not realize that. It's been a while it's been a long time since I watched House, and I think I kind of just stopped watching when the second generation came into play.
Oh, see, I still liked it because that was the weird one where like your original three like House team all left, but then like they were all just kind of still at the hospital for different reasons, and he was working with like a totally different team. But Cal Penn was one of those doctors, and he does his character ends up being killed off because that was like 2008 2009 when he took that job as some sort of like ambassador with the White House during the Obama administration.
Yeah.
So rather than like writing him off, they just fucking killed him. But also maybe he faked his death, and that's how he ended up dating Robin in New York City.
There you go.
He changed his specialty from like infectious disease or whatever he did, and
to psychiatry. You can't just change your what's it called, from infectious diseases to psychiatry.
We don't know how many degrees he had.
That's a completely different skill set.
It is, but we don't know how many degrees he had. He could have more than one doctorate.
True.
But yeah, it interesting movie. I actually think the second one looks like it might be a little better. Because this one focused on like a psychiatrist or whatever she was. The next one focuses on what looks to maybe be like a Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift style like pop star. So like I'm interested to see how like that works out with somebody in the limelight having like just this descent into madness.
Yeah,
is we all know how that stuff works out in the real world.
Yeah. I was reading the a little bit of the description for the sequel, and it made me think of the M. Night Shyamalan movie Trap that takes place in a concert.
Right, the one that just came out.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
my brain was like, oh, it's that movie, and then like, no, it's not that movie.
But it is a movie, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting movie. It's on Hulu. Yeah, it was on Hulu. So if you have Hulu and you want a creepy movie, like, it's worth throwing on. It was only like 92 minutes, I think, or something like that. Like, it wasn't super long. But Rich,
Yes.
What is the Bloodborne DLC? Like, when did it come out?
It came out after Bloodborne.
Well, every time after like 2015 is after Bloodborne.
It's probably within the year of Bloodborne. I don't really know.
Wow. I really don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about it.
Hold on, I'm looking up when it came out. November 22nd, 2015. The Old Hunters DLC is what it's called.
Oh, I just looked it up. I've heard the Old Hunters. I don't think I knew it was DLC. I thought it was
Yeah.
just something in the game.
Which honestly, I believe is this is the only FromSoft that's gotten besides now Elden Ring. And again, I don't know 100%, but I think this is one of the only FromSoft that actually got a DLC.
I feel like Dark Souls got DLC.
You know what? It might have one of the Dark Souls did. Not all, like maybe like 2 or 3 got some sort of DLC.
One got a Ordeus of the Abyss.
Okay. Everyone thought Demon's Souls for PS5 was going to get DLC because there is a section that they never that like even in the original is like broken and you can't get to. Like not broken as in like it's broken gameplay wise. It's like the thing the altar you use to get to it is destroyed. So everyone always thought that was going to be DLC, and that didn't even come out for Demon's Souls, which honestly is a little bummer. I love Demon's Souls. That's potentially going to be another Let's Play game. It's probably not going to be as long as Bloodborne either, because that one's a little bit more linear. But
actually,
yeah, so,
I forgot that they did the remake.
It was a launch title for the PS5. I got that instead of getting Spider-Man or Miles Morales. I was told that was a dumb move, and I should have gotten Miles Morales. But I thought it was a good move because
I mean, if you enjoyed Demon's Souls, why not?
Yeah,
it would have been a dumb move for me.
To be 100% honest, though, I didn't know if I enjoyed Demon's Souls. At that time, the only FromSoft game I'd ever played was Bloodborne.
But you liked Bloodborne, right?
I love Bloodborne. It is one of my favorite games. Like even
it's
when I
fair
hate
assessment.
when I hate it, I love it. So yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, I've been doing a Let's Play series of Bloodborne. I started back in June, maybe? No, earlier than that. April, something like that. I started one of my 7 Days of Die series has ended, and then I tried to record another series, and that I died in the second episode. So I gave up on 7 Days to Die for a while. So I was getting frustrated because like the game kept like glitching on me, and then like things were happening that like really shouldn't have happened that were causing me to die, and I was frustrated. So I stopped and I leaned into the continued dying and was like, I've been wanting to play Bloodborne replay Bloodborne for a long time. Let me just figure out how to do it for a Let's Play. And so that's what I did. I played for about hour and a half, and then I cut it down to 30 to 40 minutes and posted it on YouTube's. I've been struggling with the past couple of episodes that have released. Finally was able to like progress beyond certain points. Like I struggled to the point where one episode I recorded over the course of almost 2 hours, and I ended up cutting more than an hour and a half of that or more.
Oh, wow.
Like I think like an hour and 40 minutes of it was cut to the point where I jumped in and took a second session, recorded for about 40 minutes before like actually finalizing things. And I was just because there are times where all I'm doing is going back through areas I've already fought in to refill my healing items and things like that. And I'm trying to not grind in this game, which it's a FromSoft game. It's kind of hard to not grind. So I finally completed Canehurst Castle. And as I was done, that was like in the beginning of a recording session. I'm like, I can't just make this the episode. What should I do next? I didn't want to go to another trouble spot, and I was high enough level to jump into the Hunter's Nightmare is what it's called, which is the Old Hunters DLC, the beginning area of the Old Hunters DLC. So to get there, you actually have to go to a region called Cathedral Ward and leave out of the cathedral on the path that goes down some steps. And you enter into this graveyard, and in this graveyard, looking down upon you, are one of the giant, like, Cthulhu-looking things, amygdala type things, that looks down upon you. If you walk to a certain spot, he reaches out for you and tries to grab you. If he grabs you, he brings you to the DLC. You have to have a certain item to get there, but you get that certain item at a certain point throughout the game. Like, you can't miss that item.
That's actually kind of a cool way to like get taken to the DLC area.
There's another area in the game that also requires you to get grabbed by one of those guys. It's a hidden area. I can't remember what it was called. But that takes you to like an academy, like a schoolhouse building room that you run through, and then you go through that and you get to this weird nightmare something is what it's called. I can't 100% remember. If I just look up location. Oh no, this is for the old hunters, not just Bloodborne in general. I hate fandom. Just get me to the fucking wiki. Just get me to the wiki page. I hate this. I hate it. Whatever. I'm done with that. So yeah, the thing grabs you. It brings you into this area, which the start of it looks just like the cathedral at Cathedral Ward. And as you step outside, you see just all sorts of, like, it's all weird and different. It's bright. It's a little brightly colored. It's like light out. It's daytime, whereas the game takes place at night. Usually at night or during like the red moon. Normally, this is now. It's like kind of looking like daytime, and there's all sorts of weird stuff going on with the ground. And you go up to certain enemies, and they're actually afraid of you and step back from you. They don't attack you. You can attack them, you can kill them, no problem. But they're afraid of you. And then there's other enemies that look like hunters that like you occasionally come across, just like crazed hunters throughout the game. And there's some enemies that sound like normal townsfolk, but are hunters and have hunter-esque weapons, like this thick bladed, like it's almost like as thick as like a scimitar, but it turns into a whip, like a sword whip, or a giant hammer and things like that. And these enemies are strong, very strong. It is a high level area, like level 75 to 90 is what they suggest, like somewhere in that zone. I'm like just at that area. And so I played until I jumped into it to explore it for a little bit because it's the first time I've ever been into this. And I unlocked like a shortcut to get back to the main area, to the starting area. And I'm excited to do it. It looks really cool. It looks interesting. I know some of the enemies you fight. One of them is, I believe is it the Cleric Beast? Or is it the Blood-Starved Beast? One of the enemies you fight is they reskinned basically one of those two enemies just to always be on fire. So if you were to throw like a Molotov at either the Cleric Beast or the Blood-Starved Beast and hit them and they're on fire, that's what this enemy just looks like. It's just on fire with all this fur, and it's crazy and it's fast moving. And like a buddy of mine told me about that. Who loves Bloodborne, and he told me years ago, and I just never got around to it. As I've been wanting to do this DLC for a long time and get back into this game, and I'm so excited that I did. I've been playing through this playthrough so different than my first playthrough.
You're also taking like more time with it too. It sounds like.
I mean, yes and no. I'm probably taking the same amount of time. It's just I'm playing it less as long per session. Like I'm playing it once a week for an hour to an hour to 2 hours. Whereas, like, before, I would have played it nonstop until I beat it. But even the first time I played Bloodborne, I loaded it in, tried the bonfire for, like, 2 hours, kept dying, and didn't touch it for 3 months. Because I was like, fuck this game. And then I picked it back up again, got through the bonfire, and just fell in love with it afterwards. But yeah, so, I don't really know if I'm taking more time to get through it, or if I'm just playing it the same amount, but just taking more breaks. But there have been some really troubling areas. I've leveled my character differently than before. Whereas I don't know what my stats are. I might be able to pull up the old save. It should be on my PS5. I don't know if I still have it. I don't know. But like my old one was strength, stamina, and health. But it's probably more strength and health over anything else. And this one I've been going more towards the skill, which is like dexterity. Finding out that this is something I didn't know until Elden Ring, that these games have soft caps for their level system. So you can reach, for instance, if you level up strength to level 30, once it hits level 30, you can continue to level up strength, but you're not getting as much. So it's not really worth it to go higher than 30 because they're like they want you to diversify. I think Elden Ring's level cap for everything was 50. Whereas in Bloodborne it's 30. Like for most things it's 30, for stamina it's 40. Once you reach 40 in stamina, basically for every level you put into stamina you get 10, but once you reach 40 for every level you only get like 4 or something like that. It's not worth it. It's you could go towards other things. And that's what I at level 70 where it takes me 30,000 points, experience points to level up, I'm spending it on like arcane or blood tinge from level 10 to 11, like putting really small numbers into it so that I can use different items that I can't use because I've never put points into them. My biggest complaint of Bloodborne is there is no respec.
Oh, I don't think I ever realized that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a respec in any other game besides Elden Ring, but that would be like my biggest complaint in pretty much all of these games is there's no respec because there's no point in playing one of these games and starting with like arcane as your base stat because you don't get an arcane weapon or item until later on into those games. So if you're going to be boosting arcane or if you're going to be boosting blood tinge or whatever the equivalent blood tinge is in the other ones, you're not going to have weapons to use those. You're not going to be actually strengthening yourself up that much. So then you're going to have to diversify your skills even more and be like, all right, well, make sure to put a couple of points into strength or stamina and health or whatever. And it's just like it's a little, it is frustrating to like just to do that because it's when it comes to FromSoft games, the skill you level up and the weapon you're using, like it helps to if you're using a weapon that has an A in strength, then the higher your strength, the higher the bonus damage you're going to do with the higher strength you have. So if it's a C in strength and you have 30 strength, you're probably only doing an extra 60 points of damage. Where if it has an A in strength, you're probably doing an extra 150 points of damage.
Oh, wow, that's actually a pretty big gap, too.
I don't know the actual gaps. I'm like picking random.
So you're
like,
making shit up.
It's probably not that dramatic. But it is still significant. At one point, I was able to boost my my skill level on a weapon from B to A, and it would increase the damage by at least 15 to 20 points. So, like, and that's nothing to like to roll your eyes at. That's a decent amount of extra damage.
Yeah, that really isn't bad.
So it's like if you're gonna build a character and you want to build a character for arcane, but you don't get any arcane weapons till later, and it's like, well, what's the point of building my weapon for arcane? Like or if I could respec when I finally get the weapons I want, that'd be better. It's just it's a little bit of a I'm kind of stuck with these weapons. Like we were talking about it on the Discord, and it's one of the most used weapons is the axe, the saw axe or something. It's a starting weapon, and it is probably one of the better weapons to use because it has great skill scaling. It's a powerful weapon. It has a really good trick feature because in Bloodborne's each weapon are basically two weapons. So the axe, you can have a small axe or a long axe, and so that long axe is really useful against certain enemies. And so it's just like if you're gonna use that weapon, you might as well just continue to use that weapon. But if you get midway through the game, you're level 50, and you find a weapon you really want to use, but you can't even use it until you get 5 points into Arcane, and you're at level 6 Arcane, or you need 15 points into Arcane, you're at level 6 Arcane, then you have to then spend, and say you're level 50, you then have to spend over 150,000 experience points getting those 10 points. Which is like, yeah, I could just be boosting strength. Or I could just be boosting whatever skills I'm actually needing instead of potentially boosting this stat to get high enough to maybe use a weapon that I don't even know if I'm going to like.
Right.
It's my only gripe, really, is like the way, and Elden Ring is similar, but Elden Ring gives you the ability to respec. So if you find a weapon you really like, you can then go respec and start using that weapon. Or if you want to try to use more magic, like when I did Elden Ring, and this is probably part of why I didn't really enjoy Elden Ring, I was a strength build. I went full on strength, stamina, and health. And I reached level cap on all of those, or soft cap on all of those, and like started slightly boosting like mana or whatever. But it wasn't high. I wasn't gonna grind out experience at that point to be able to boost it any higher. And I didn't know any other weapons, so I was just like, I had enough mana to summon one specific thing, and that was it. I didn't have any magics or anything like that. So I'm like, maybe that's kind of why I was down on Bloodborne, is because I didn't actually get to experience a lot of the features in these games that aren't in this game that aren't in any of the other FromSoft games. There's no real summons in FromSoft games. There are some magical abilities, but again, I've never gone a magic build because you don't get magics right away. When I did Demon Souls, I used there's a weapon that goes off of faith that I didn't build up my faith until I found that weapon, and I found that weapon near the end of the game. So it wasn't as strong as it could. It is the strongest weapon in the game. It's fantastic. But like it wasn't as strong as it could have been because I was building off of I think strength in that game as well. That game didn't and the way they do magic in that one is like you defeat a boss and then you hand in their soul to the magic person to get their magic. But like you don't just find magic. You don't start with many magics or something like. I don't fully 100% remember. It's been 4 years since I played Demon Souls. It's a great
Yeah,
game.
actually, I don't think I realized that you didn't get magic if like you went with a magic build.
No, yeah, you don't.
I think I just assumed you did.
I mean, I'd have to double check and maybe try more different Bloodborne builds, but like, I'm sure there's ways to do like demon mode or not demon, like beast transformations. I'm sure there's a beast transformation build, but I don't know how to build for it. I'd have to like read more into it, and that's like part of the thing I really like about these games is like the intricacy of like how you can build your character. But again, it's since there's no respecking, I don't want to have to replay this game in next like immediately after I beat this game to try a different build. I would like to try different builds while playing this game and then do the build I'm feeling that time. But it takes so long to get to a point to use some of these other builds. Like in Bloodborne, for instance, you don't actually get the ability to level up your character until you encounter the first boss.
Oh,
So,
right. I did
yeah.
actually know that. And I could never get to the first boss.
Yeah, so like you can't once you encounter the first boss, you can then go ahead and grind out to get to for experience to go encounter them. But like generally, the first time you encounter the cleric beast, you're going to die. So you're potentially going to lose all of your blood echoes that you got from the start of the game to that point. When you go encounter it again, it's yeah, you can't you can buy stuff, but you can't level up until you reach it because you need a point of insight in order to be able to level up in Bloodborne. Well, not to level up, but to level up the first time. You get your first point of insight when you encounter the first boss. Every
Okay.
boss you encounter, you get an insight point. So yeah, it's been fun. I really want. I wish I had more people that watched my YouTube channel to give me different chalice dungeons to do because that was another cool thing that Bloodborne did. Is there's like procedurally generated dungeons in a way. Like you can put in a seed for a dungeon using different items and a different number combination, and it'll just send you into a dungeon and you can go do it and sometimes get some cool weapons and cool items. So like I don't know what other like what dungeons to run. I know like to get the one of the cooler armors in the game, you have to run a chalice dungeon to get it, and it's like a really awesome armor. It's all burning and like smoking and stuff. I love it. Which it's the armor that I finished on my first that I used on my first playthrough when I beat the game, which is actually the second video I ever uploaded onto YouTube. Is me beating the game and killing the last three bosses, two of them in one try, I think, or at least the last two, including the secret the special boss. So yeah, I want to jump into some chalice dungeons before I like go towards the end of the game, but I might be ending that playthrough soon. That playthrough might be done soon. Might be done by October.
And then you can do something different.
If anything, it'll be depending on where it lands. 7 Days to Die is projected to have another update after 1.0 to update their weather system and things like that. I think that's also when they're going to add bandits. So it's going to be I'm gonna go back to 7 Days to Die after Bloodborne for a while. I don't know when that's going to be, and I might do a little one shot video, a few one shot videos until that new update comes out. After I'm done Bloodborne. That, or I might just. I'm also thinking of getting rid of my time at Porsche and moving that to a stream game after October. If I'm not finished my time at Porsche by the end of October, moving my time at Porsche to October and moving a 7 Days to Die video on Saturdays instead, and then keeping something with Bloodborne or maybe doing Demon Souls on Fridays or something. All I know is there's not many games unless they're survival games that I want to do first playthroughs again as Let's Plays, because when you're doing a Let's Play, you kind of need to know how to play the game. So I'm trying to figure out ideas of Let's Plays after I'm done Bloodborne and my time at Porsche. And Shrouded's going to go on forever. Shrouded's going to go on a long time. That map is huge. But yeah, I'm running out of time with those games, but I might also cut down to 2 Let's Plays a week for a while.
You're at 3 right now, right?
I'm right now at 3, but because of that, I'm not making any shorts. And I like shorts are kind of where growth is right now when it comes to YouTube.
That's dumb.
That's what more. It's people don't have attention span to watch big videos that often. Like it's you get put because people can watch more shorts. Like look, you can watch 60 shorts in an hour. Like you can watch up the minimum 60 shorts an hour. Maximum technically you can watch like I don't know how many seconds are in an hour. Like if they're 1 second long shorts, like you can watch I don't know, let's say 20 seconds and that's 300 shorts in an hour. So like there's more you're more likely to be seen with shorts. It's not that like it's best for growth, but you're more likely to be seen because you can see more of them.
Yeah, because you're swiping through them. It's TikToks and Reels and all that stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like I've never been to talk. I don't really watch YouTube, but like I hate the fucking micro video bullshit. Like I don't like 30-second videos.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I am not the audience, so what the fuck does my opinion matter on that one?
Yeah, it's the internet society we're in, but yeah. We'll get more information about, or I'll talk more about the Bloodborne DLC when I get further into it.
I'm excited for Sony to release more information on the Bloodborne DLC. Yeah.
Yeah. No. But I'll talk more about it when I get further into it. There's been a lot of talk about potentially a Bloodborne remake.
I mean, there's been talk about that since 2016, a year after the game came out. So
yeah. But I've been seeing, but it's probably because I've been just Googling a lot more about Bloodborne. I've been seeing a lot of like Bloodborne remake in the talks, or Bloodborne this, Bloodborne that, and like there are. It's been being shared on my Discord. There's somebody working on an emulator for modern day like graphics of, or not graphics, but modern day capabilities of Bloodborne, where it's uncapped frame rate, which it didn't really look too different to me, but also I don't have that great of a monitor to where it would have changed anything that much.
Yeah, like I feel like people would even be fine with just a proper PC port of Bloodborne, because I don't think there is one, right?
No.
Yeah.
I
thought it was locked on PS4, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of ports for many fronts there.
Well, I think a lot of the other ones, other than Demon Souls, are on multiple platforms just in general. Like Dark Souls is on everything, Elden Ring is on everything. It's just it's Demon Souls and Bloodborne that are PlayStation exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. FromSoft. Oh no, yeah, Dark Souls 2, 3, Dark Souls 2 and 3, Armored Core, Sekiro, and Elden Ring are all on Steam at least. So yeah, it's and Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls Remastered. So yeah, it's just right now Demon Souls and Bloodborne that were PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, because those were always PlayStation exclusives. And
yeah.
I don't know if they're not porting, because like they started porting PS4 and PS5 games to PC, but I wonder if it has to do with those games are not first party games either. Like they're console exclusive, but they're not Sony games. Like,
yeah,
every other game that has been exclusive has been a them studio.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? But yeah, I think people would willingly spend $60 or $70 on just a PC release of Bloodborne, because then they could they could go in there and mod it and
Yeah.
put new texture packages over it and unlock the frame rate and all that shit.
You know what this game needs? If I could do mods on this game,
Thomas the Tank Engine.
no. The ability to not have to go back to the Hunter's Dream. So whenever you're doing anything, if you die or if you get to a lantern and you want to go to a different location, you have to tap the lantern, go to the Hunter's Dream, wake up in the Hunter's Dream, tap the gravestone, go to the location you want to go to, but there's like 4 gravestones. A lot of times, and it doesn't take too long to do. Like, let's say it takes like 3 minutes, because even though load times are cut down after they updated the game, and I'm on a PS5 with a solid state drive, load times are still like 5 or 6 seconds, which are long anymore. It takes like, all right, maybe 2 or 3 minutes is an over exaggeration, but it takes about a minute and a half to do this, to go from lantern to Hunter's Dream, from Hunter's Dream to the gravestone, and then hit the gravestone, and then to the location you want to go to, like a minute and a half. And it's frustrating. If I could mod this game, I would make it so that if you get to the lantern, you can just pick where you're going from there. Because I don't always need to go to the Hunter's Dream, but I need to go somewhere else to grind out for blood echoes or blood vials to heal myself, because enemies in the location I'm at don't drop blood vials, but certain enemies in other locations always drop blood vials. So like that would be the biggest mod and the biggest quality of life update that this game could have, is being able to just go to where you want to go without having to go back to the main hub.
Or at least have it be faster.
I mean, then that would be it. That would be faster. Just being able to go to hit your lantern and select where you want to go next. But that's most FromSoft games. Like, you go to your main hub and then you go to wherever you're going. Like, or not, I can't say most. That's the two of the 3 FromSoft games I've ever played were that. You go to your main hub and then you hit the gravestone or the altar to go to where you're going.
I'm assuming that's all of them. Like, if they do it in 2, they probably do it across the board. And I have to imagine, like, if they do ever like port or release Bloodborne, they're not doing anything to it.
No.
Like, there is going to be no extra effort put into that port. No. It's just going to be a port of the PS4 version.
People will, they won't even need to up-res it. People will buy it. People will buy it at $60 if they just release it, a PC version of it. It's what
exactly.
Like, I won't do that. Maybe if it's $30 and they redid graphics and stuff, sure, maybe. But also, I just replayed it. So if they do that in the next 3 years, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, but there's also plenty of FromSoft fans that never had a PlayStation.
Yeah.
That would want to play it because that's one of 2 FromSoft games they wouldn't have gotten to play. Mm-hmm. And then there are people that, didn't go the PS5 route and can't play Bloodborne if they don't have a PS4 anymore. So also, people that want to go back and play Bloodborne again that can't.
Yeah. I mean, they can. This game is not backwards compatible, but it was free for PS Plus at one point, so.
No, but I mean, like, if they don't have a PlayStation anymore. Like, if they went Xbox instead of PS5 and got rid of their PS4.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, but not everybody keeps their consoles.
Who would go from, with this console generation, who would have gone to Xbox?
People that couldn't get PS5s for the first 6 months they were out, but could pick up an Xbox.
I mean, weren't Xboxes just as hard to get?
For the first, 2 months, but after that, they got easier, and the PS5s did not. Like, the
PS5s
nobody
wanted the Xboxes.
Yeah, the PS5s were scarcer longer than the Xboxes were.
But and this is just like nitpicking kind of. People who would want to go back and play Bloodborne are the people that also save consoles.
Probably, but not necessarily. Not everyone can afford to save them. Some people trade in their consoles to get the new ones. That is unfortunately still a market out there.
You're not wrong, but also to Richie's point, the people that would want to keep playing Bloodborne would not have gotten an Xbox.
I mean, yes, like the people that are out there making the rumors constantly because they think that if the rumor happens enough, the game will happen. Like they still have an unpatched PS4 so that they can play a specific version of Bloodborne.
Yeah,
right.
But Rich, do you have anything else about Bloodborne you want to talk about?
No. I absolutely love Bloodborne, and I'm excited to beat the game again. It's not often do I actually pick a game that I play multiple. It's not often.
Good job.
Coming from the guy who's in a second playthrough of Monster Hunter World as well. But that's just because I want to play Monster Hunter World.
Play
And
play new games.
I am playing a friggin' Starship Second Story R.
Isn't that a remake of an old game though?
It's a new game though. It came out this year.
You know what? I'll give it to you because it's new to you at least.
Yeah. I played Final Fantasy this year.
A remake of an old game?
It's not a remake.
It's remake adjacent.
It's a retelling.
Remake adjacent.
No. I don't know. I look, the next game on my lineup after Star Ocean is another remake, and it's Resident Evil remake on hardcore mode. So,
oh
yeah, it's part of my event. I have to do that. And I have to play and beat Mega Man X8 because it was the best game I've played in a long time on the hardest difficulty, and the worst game I've ever played. I have to beat it.
Hey, at least like Mega Man 8 is the worst game you've ever played, and it's not like a game that's fundamentally broken like Superman 64.
See, I count it as like a playable game. I wouldn't have done like a game that's broken. When I say worst game, I mean a playable game that's bad.
I mean, Superman is playable.
Is it though?
Yeah, you can beat that game.
I did just see somebody beat it a few months ago.
Yeah, like why would you want to is a different question, but it's
that's
not broken in a way that makes it unfinishable.
It's broken in a way where everything is super frustrating to complete.
Yes.
Yeah, and incredibly boring.
I mean that too, because it's fly through rings at increasingly difficult like timing, and then do some sort of like very shitty combat scenario that is usually timed or has some other sort of factor that is easy to fail, like protecting people or whatever.
Yeah. But Cub, tell us about Fields and Mistria. That's I was talking to somebody about it. That's like the farm life RPG, right?
Yeah, so it's Stardew Valley, but a little more fantasy.
Okay.
And definitely has some deep connections to Link to the Past as far as like art style and aesthetic go, and then Stardew Valley for like mechanics and like the opening of the game. Like the developers, it's got its own flavor, let's call it. But a lot of like the art assets are very reminiscent of Link to the Past, like the trees, the shrubs, just nature in general, like very much looks like that. And then your menuing, the kind of like basic plot introduction of the game, very similar to Stardew. So in this case, rather than it being sort of a modern day thing where you quit your job at shitty organization to go work at your dead grandfather's farm, you're just kind of a adventurer that finds out that this town that was ravaged by an earthquake and is trying to like rebuild itself is looking for somebody to take over like a plot of land and kind of help them rebuild the town. So you volunteer to do it. And within the first like 15 minutes, let's say, a bunch of people show up and give you a bunch of the tools that you'll need. So you get given like the shitty axe and the shitty pickaxe and the shitty hoe and watering can and all that stuff so that you can at least get started on some stuff. And just like Stardew, one of the first crops you get, turnips.
Mm-hmm.
But unlike the one thing that is different as far as the farming aspect goes is when you start, there's just a small patch of tillable dirt that you can plant things in that also has a bunch of like debris in it that you have to wait until you get the various tools to be able to clear out. But you actually have to get a shovel before you can start like digging up the grass areas to create new like farmable land, which is interesting. But even like your house basically flipped, like it's like your Stardew starter home but like reversed. And the calendar is also broken into 4 months and 28 days. So just every month is a season, and every season is 28 days.
That is every farm sim.
Okay, Stardew's the only other one that I've ever played. So
yeah, that's every farm sim. Is each season is its own month, and
okay.
That's it. And it's broken down to 28 days. Which, you know what? That's how our months should be. Give us one extra month, give us 13 months, and make them all 28 days.
I don't know that equals out.
Yeah, I don't think that math works.
But I see where your head's at. It's also a game that sort of the marketing around it leans very heavily onto the romanceable options. They flat out tell you in like the blurb on Steam, farm, adventure, marry one of 12 characters.
365 divided by 13 is 28.07.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. That does not seem like it should work.
Nope. That's what you have 12 months. Most of them have 30 days past September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31. So 4 of them have 30 days. What is it? 7 of them have 31, and 1 of them has fucking 28. So that's 29, 30. So that's 8 days right there for the 4 that have 30. And then 3 times 7
21
is 21.
Huh.
28 days.
Yeah.
With a leap year every 4 years, not even. It'd be a leap year every 10 years.
But even then, do you even need a leap year anymore?
No, fuck that.
So we don't really need one now.
Winter can come in August in 400 years.
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck do we care about the future?
Exactly. So, yeah, you said how many? 20 romanceable characters?
12, at least right now. So the game is still in early access.
So I have to ask you.
Sure.
Are you going to be a bard?
I have not gotten an option to pick any sort of class yet.
No, you don't know what I mean.
No, I don't.
Are you going to fuck the
everyone?
No, are you going to fuck the dragon?
I don't get it.
Bards in D&D, it's a joke in the D&D realm that the bard not only wants to fuck everything, but the bard encounters a dragon, and the first thing they do is roll to seduce.
Oh,
so they want to fuck. In Fields of Mistria, there is a romanceable dragon.
Okay, so I have not seen that yet.
Yes.
I haven't really looked anything up on the game. I actually bought it for Erica. But the other day I was sitting there and she wasn't playing anything, so I'm like, you know what? I wonder what this game is like compared to Stardew, because I did like Stardew. And like so far, like it's charming the way that like those games are. I like the fantasy aspect of it a little bit more, and like you have a sword as soon as you start. Like that's the only tool you have is a sword. And like you immediately get given like your first goal is go talk to all the people. So you do run around. The nice thing is that they the map does right from the get-go. The map has everyone on it. It's just not the best map. So, you know, like when you open the Stardew map, it just shows you the entire Stardew Valley area. This shows you like it in weird quadrants, but like depending on where you are, depends on whether you can hit up, down, left, or right to move to the next section. So it just gets a little weird when you're trying to like get to different parts of it, depending on like where you're at. And it is honestly probably easier on like PC. But like playing with a controller on Steam Deck, like it's a little cumbersome for the map when you're first trying to like figure it out and see like what direction things are in from where you're at. But it was super helpful that I could just see all the characters on the map, and before you talk to them, they're just kind of like gray character like model things. Like they just look like gray little people, so you know that it's one of the people that you haven't spoken to yet. Which is super helpful because there were like 22 people, I think, at that point that you had to go talk to. And I'm pretty sure the dog and the chicken counted.
Yeah. That was a struggle with my time at Porsche is it does when you first start the game, and I haven't checked my social tab in a while in that game because I kind of gave up on the social stuff in that game because no character is interesting enough. When you first start it, the social tab doesn't even give you like good portraits of each character that you haven't met yet. It's generic male or female portrait. And so like at one point I'm like, I don't know who the fuck I haven't met yet. And it's not telling me who I haven't met yet. So it's good to know that like this game actually gives you decent portraits or something. Yeah,
and so it's on the map they're like the sprite based stuff on the map. When you're actually like when you see them in the world, they're a little different looking than the Stardew sprites are. I'd say like they're just stylistically they look different. But then like their actual portraits are very anime inspired. The one character that's like, if you look at the Steam page, she's like the blonde. She looks like an anime character out of like a 90s anime. And I feel like that is very much the aesthetic they're going for with a lot of them, but it works for the game. And there is one dude who seems to be like, he seems to be a little bit of like a himbo, maybe. But like the first time you see him, he just comes galloping onto your farm on a horse and like almost runs you over, and just like laughs it off.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're definitely going with some character tropes in it too. But it's interesting so far. Yeah, I'm still in that early game thing where like they haven't opened all the stuff for me yet. Like there are mines, but I don't have the mines unlocked yet. But they exist. They were just shut down after this earthquake happened, and there is a bridge that I'm working on trying to get repaired, because once the bridge is repaired, more vendors can come in the town. So there's more stuff that you can buy, and potentially more stuff you can then like grow and do and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so far, like I want to say I played for like 2 hours or so, 3 hours. I had fun with it. Like if you like Stardew, it's very much Stardew Valley, or Rich, from what you were saying, it's very much like most of those farming sim games, but it seems to have a little bit more of a narrative built into it than Stardew did. Like Stardew's narrative is pretty loose unless you seek it out. Whereas this one is kind of like driving you like, hey, like we need help actually fixing this town. Like this town is fucking crumbling. Like a bunch of the buildings just have like boards shuttering their windows and stuff.
Yeah.
The town blacksmith is like a young dude, total douchebag. Also looks like an anime character. Looks like a douchebag anime character, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Like he kind of looks like Sasuke if Sasuke had red hair and like an emo swoosh.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm curious. Oh, hey, there's the dragon.
And it's got a purple heart over its name, which means you can romance it.
So I'm looking at the I don't know if that's true. Are you sure?
That's what everyone who I know has been playing it, and everything I've read, it has a purple heart, which means you can romance it.
Okay, interesting. So I'm just looking at like their fandom wiki, and it has all the characters, and it has a section at the top that's romance candidates, and then other villagers, and the dragon is under other villagers. So.
I'll have to find one of the videos that somebody had about it. Somebody was playing it and said that they think the character is romanceable. Look, it's just what I've heard, and I mean, like, I haven't played the game yet, so I don't know.
The game's also still early access, so
yeah,
like who knows? Could like that stuff might not be there now, might be later. There's two old people that I'm not sure if they're married to each other or not that could absolutely end up being like romanceable later on. You know, maybe in an update they kill the lady and the dude who runs the museum suddenly becomes dateable. You never know. These games, they just do whatever the fuck they want. But yeah, I'm looking forward to actually getting into the mines, and at least so far the stamina actually seems a little bit better than the Stardew one. Like I feel like the Stardew one, the stamina just drops so drastically when you do the smallest thing. Like you water your plants and half your fucking stamina is gone. This one I was kind of going around hitting stuff, cutting down like grass, tilling dirt just randomly, and I finished the day with actually still a decent amount of stamina left.
Nice.
Yeah. So we shall see. But yeah, I'm gonna play some more of it. I don't know. So I don't own it myself. Like Eric and I have the like the Steam share set up on the Steam Deck. So as long as the other person isn't actively using theirs, you get access to their library. So like as long as she's not like playing anything, I'll probably pop into it a few more times, and if I keep liking it, I might just grab a copy of it if I see it like go on sale or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been cool though. I like it,
nice.
And we'll see what comes of that.
Yeah, nice.
So the last thing we have is I just had a question for you guys. Kind of wanted to see what your thoughts were. So yesterday during the opening night live, they announced that the Indiana Jones game that Bethesda is doing is going to actually not be an Xbox exclusive. It is going to release on PS5 this spring. So it's going to be like a 5-6 month exclusivity window where the game is scheduled to come out in December for Xbox and PC, and then sometime in the spring it's releasing for PS5. I saw this, and then I also immediately saw people bitching about this happening because apparently it matters to them that a game be exclusive to a console. So my question for you guys, do you think console exclusivity actually matters as a selling point for games and the platforms?
Not anymore.
I mean, the people who it doesn't matter to me. The people who are getting mad are the people who bought a game because bought a console, say bought the Xbox because of the purchase. Not necessarily they don't have either other console, but they're Bethesda fans who bought the Xbox because Bethesda is owned by Microsoft. That's my opinion towards this. Is the people who are getting mad about this are the people who leaned in on this. This makes me have to get this console.
Agreed.
Yeah,
And
I mean, especially when it comes to like the Xbox side of things,
yeah,
they have been light on good exclusives. Like they really have not had AAA exclusives this generation. And I feel like yes, a lot of people that went with the Xbox this generation feel slighted because Sony has actually gotten, not a crazy number of them yet, but like what do they got? God of War, Final Fantasy Remake I think is exclusive. At least
it's timed exclusive, I believe.
I thought it was console exclusive, but it was also on PC.
It's something like
pretty
that.
Sure, it's not on Xbox.
But it's. I don't think it's. No, it's not on Xbox if I remember correctly. But like Square came out and were like, we never said it was going to be exclusive at one point.
Right.
Even though they had it, like a video said it said console exclusive to PlayStation. They tried to argue that they didn't have that video. When at least it was announced for PC. I don't know if it's available on PC at the moment still.
I don't know if the new one was, but I think Remake was.
Remake did eventually come to PC.
Yeah.
And Rebirth will eventually come to PC.
Yeah, exactly. But like you have stuff like that, all the Spider-Man games on PlayStation, like I can understand why Xbox like owners would feel slighted at least a little bit because Sony does have exclusives and Xbox is just giving theirs away. But at the same time, why does it really matter in the long run? Like a game's a game. Like the more people that play the game, the more, particularly if the game is good, means that the game will either get additional content or sequels. If only the Xbox install base gets to play it and half of them don't like it, the game's not going to sell well and you're never going to see anything about it again. Like it's kind of a win-win. Like the more a game can hit multiple platforms, the more sales it can make, the easier it is for the publisher and developer to justify working on the game further.
Like, yeah, like in my opinion, console exclusivity in general, first party or third party, is a stupid idea. I think PlayStation should make God of War, whatever the next one's going to be, for everything. Because there's no reason not to. There's literally no reason not to.
Well, except for Switch, because it just can't play it.
You know what I mean, though. Like,
I know, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. But like my idea, my thought process is for everything that can play it, or properly play it, not everything that can play it, because technically, maybe, sure, a PS4 can play God of War Ragnarok. I think it came out for PS4. I don't remember. But like maybe you shouldn't release it, make it for PS4. But for every modern console that is out at the time that the game can properly be played on, PC, whatever Microsoft console, whatever PlayStation console, both everything Microsoft and first party and third party, and everything Sony, first party and third party, they'll just release for everything. There's no reason for console exclusivity anymore. These systems are exactly the same. There's literally like no major difference, or not that big of a major difference between the Xbox One X, right? That's the big one. The cube, the big cube, right? Is
Well,
One
the
X?
Series X.
Series X. And the PlayStation 5, like, the difference is minuscule.
I don't know, man. There's probably like a whole bunch of teraflops between them.
Yeah, like there's buzzwords between them. That's it. Like, or you can vape through the Series X and make it look cool, but you really shouldn't do that. But yeah, I think console exclusivity is a thing of the past that developers and publishers, specific developers and the console creators are kind of trying to hold onto as a thought that this is going to sell consoles when it's not. I don't think exclusivity is going to sell consoles. I think consoles are needed. I am not. I play games on my console. I am primarily a PC gamer at this point. I think consoles are needed because consoles are more accessible than a PC. My PC cost me $1,500 or something like that. It took me 3 years to pay off. Whereas I can get the PlayStation 5 for, what was it, $700? Like, and look, the difference between 700 and 1,500, accessible is like a wide term. Like it is, but it is more affordable than getting a modern PC that can play everything.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And
So, like,
people make those like arguments. Well, like a PC is going to last you longer. It's like not
Is it
necessarily.
though? Like,
and that's I got my PC in 2021, 2020, was it 2021? Yeah, shortly after I started streaming, I got my PC. And so it's been about 3 years since I've had my PC, and like it's still going great. I can play the best games, and the PS5 came out before I got my PC. PS5 came out like 6 months before I got my PC. I'm still able to play the same games that my PS5 is playing. But yeah, you're right. When the PS5 or when PS6 comes out, my PC is also probably at that point where I'm going to need to upgrade it. Now, the thing is, my PC, I could probably upgrade for a lot cheaper than buying a PS6 at the time of the PS6 release. However, I am going to have to overhaul my PC within the next 5 years after that. So the PS7, I'm going to need to get a new motherboard, a new what's it called? Not graphics card, a processor, a new power. I'm going to need to get a whole new thing.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
going to be another. So yeah, it might technically kind of last, let's say, almost twice as long, but not really. Because you do still have to put that money into upgrading things here or there for it. I'm going to need to upgrade my graphics card within the next 3 or 4 years. I'm probably should get more RAM, stuff like that. But also, I don't need to upgrade my graphics card. I just won't be able to play games at the highest graphics for a little bit longer. Like, I might be able to I got 12 years out of my old PC. My PC, when I got it and built it, my original one, was top of the line. I got 12 years out of it. It worked great.
Like, by the end, like, you weren't playing, like, high-quality games on it.
By the end, I couldn't play anything on it. Like, even low quality, like 7 Days to Die, which is a game that took 12 years to build and graphically wasn't high maintenance or anything. I couldn't play because I didn't have enough RAM. Now I could have just upgraded my RAM, and I would have had enough RAM to play that game. But it's still like
even that would have been a couple $100.
But see, that's
let's say over $100 at least.
But see, that's the thing. I don't.
In 2021, it would have been, because that stuff was all more expensive to buy piecemeal. The reason I bought a pre-built PC was because it was more expensive to buy the individual pieces at the time.
It was the graphics cards that were the most expensive part. The graphics card I have on my PC cost $2,000 at the time. It wasn't anything. It was just the graphics card.
Dude, the memory was hard to get at that point too. Like we were buying it. Laptops, like Lenovo was not shipping laptops with 16 gigs of memory because it was more expensive, and they couldn't offset the cost. So we were buying laptops with 8, and then spending an extra $150 for 8 more gigs, and manually having to install them.
But like, for instance, my old PC I think it had 6 gigs of RAM. So an 8 gigs.
How the fuck did you have 6 gigs of RAM?
Because I had 4 2s and one of them didn't work, so we only had 3 2s installed.
God, that's dumb.
So that's
shouldn't work.
So, but like at that time, in 2021, if I wanted to upgrade to 8 gigs of RAM, it wouldn't have cost me hundreds of dollars. It would have cost me right now an 8 gig RAM, a DDR4 8 gig RAM is less than $20 on Amazon.
You also might not have been able to find RAM compatible after 12 years.
Would have had to try to see if I could find something compatible, all that stuff. I understand that, but it's still like it's variable depending on how much extra RAM I needed or wanted. But yeah, RAM's not that expensive.
And now it is not. But again, 2020, 2021, it was like I had clients spending almost $200 on 8 gigs of RAM because they needed it.
That's the outlier. What's the word? Like, that's not the norm.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Like I understand what you're saying, but that's not the norm. At that time, I needed to upgrade my PC, especially if I wanted to get more into streaming, especially if I wanted to do more into what I'm doing now. I needed to upgrade my PC. But if I didn't need that, I wouldn't have worried about upgrading until this year when PC prices are more reasonable.
Yeah, we're also running into that point where like 16 gigs of RAM is generally enough to do most things now. Like you like 8 gigs isn't really enough for like an everyday computer. 16 you can do work stuff on it and play like most games. Like because I think you have 16, right?
I have 32, I believe.
Oh, okay. For some reason I thought you had 16, but like you could generally if you take care of your PC and you don't have a bunch of shit running on it, like you should be able to play most games with just a base 16. Mm-hmm. But we're getting to the point where like that's not going to be enough. So you're going to have to default to 32. And but that's where things keep getting more expensive, and like some of those prices do come down, but it's like it comes down a little bit, but it's still more expensive than the 16 was before it.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think consoles are important because they are more affordable for players. They're more affordable for the up-to-date stuff. But I personally would prefer a PC because I like to I may upgrade my graphics card soon, or I may want to upgrade my RAM. Like
you're also doing different stuff too.
Yeah.
Like you're playing games that aren't necessarily on console, or that in some cases don't play as well on console. Like My Time at Portia is definitely on console, I believe.
It's at least on Switch.
Yeah. So like you can play that game on console, but it's probably a better experience with a mouse and keyboard.
Not really.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm playing with mouse and keys, and I could just as easily play this game with controller. Probably enjoy it more. But games like say Stardew, definitely a mouse is better for that. Mouse and keys is a little bit better for that, in my opinion.
But aside from just like the easiness of it, or not easiness, that's not the right word, but with consoles, you also like there is just a level of entry to that is not as high as a PC.
Yeah.
You can go to the store, buy a PS5 or an Xbox, take it home. It has the 2 wires you need to work it. As long as your TV is 15 years old or newer, it has an HDMI port on it. You plug into the HDMI, you plug in the power, your console now works. That's all you need. The controller is set. The controller is going to work the same way for every single game you put onto that console. Whereas when you play a PC game, maybe it doesn't have native piece or controller support and you want to use one. Or maybe you want to use a DualShock 5, but the game keeps mapping to Xbox and it doesn't quite work out the way you need it to. Like, you know what I mean? Like obviously that's a bad example because there's the same amount of buttons, but like there are situations where like you want different things and the PC just makes it a little more complicated. Whereas like even the Xbox Elite controller, like you just program that on the Xbox. Like you just tell it what to do and it recognizes it on the Xbox and just works. Like there is just there's less hassle, but there is also less flexibility. Like there is more flexibility on a PC. Like you can do things like unlock the frame rate. You can turn up graphics higher. You can get mods and all sorts of weird shit for games. But like also sometimes those games just fucking crash for no good reason because every PC is different and developers can't account for every possible combination of hardware that's out there.
Yeah.
Rich,
I remember
if you have a Generation 9 i7 and I have a Generation 10 i7 and you have Corsair RAM and I have Kingston RAM and, you know, we both have the same NVIDIA card, but your game crashes and mine doesn't, like, what's doing that?
Yeah, like I remember when Final Fantasy VII Remake came out on PC, which was 6 months or so after it was released, and it was remake and the DLC at the same time that was released on PC. I remember I had friends who are PC gamer, PC. What's the word I'm trying to think of? But they're like hardcore PC gamers, and they don't
Master Race.
PC Master Race, that's the word. They are PC Master Race people, and they're sitting here and they're shitting on Final Fantasy VII Remake because so and so's game is playing and keeps dropping frames, and this person, and not any of them. It's like streamers or a website's playtester or something like that I was playing a game. It's like, oh, look at all these frame drops. This frame drops is dropping here, and these are dropping there, and blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, gameplay perfectly fine on PlayStation. Well, I shouldn't have to have a PlayStation to play it. I'm like, well, you know, Square probably developed. I tried to do this argument, like the same argument as you. Like Square probably developed this for the best stuff, but you don't know what these people have and what those people have. Well, it's this isn't who they said, but I'm just going to use it anyway because it's the only one I can think of. It's GameStop. It's GameSpot. They're going to have the best systems. I'm like, not really. You don't know what they have. I watch YouTubers who are huge on YouTube that they have some pretty bad PC, like older PCs, and they're playing modern day games to where, like, when they're even playing 7 Days to Die, which isn't that modern of a game, their PC is running like crap. Like, every PC is different. Why do you think, like, what was it? Arkham City had that? No, it was Arkham Knight had that issue. Like,
Arkham Knight.
every PC is different, no matter what. Even if we had the same stuff, even if me and you bought the same exact PC, I may have different stuff on it than you, or you might have different stuff on it than me that may cause it to run differently. Like,
I mean, even firmware on things,
yeah.
Like the firmware you have in your video card can impact things.
Yeah, it's like PCs are hard to manage. I forget to update my drivers all the time. All the time, I forget to update my drivers. Even when I have it set to auto update, they don't, and I forget to update them. And if I didn't get those reminders, I'd be running old drivers. If anything goes wrong with this PC, I'm screwed. I've been having an issue with recording. When I'm recording some shows off of OBS, I will do a test run with the audio, and I will say test into my mic. And I have OBS ever since my power went out that one time. I have OBS auto backup to MP4, like do both MP4 and MKV. So it auto backs up to MP4 as it's recording, and it does MKV when it's done. So I have it do both, so that I have both. The MKV will have my audio, the MP4 won't. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I have to reset my PC, like restart my PC in order for the MP4 to have the audio from my mic. That's the only way I can get the audio from my mic. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I did. I can't figure it out. But, it's because I did one thing. I updated my Windows. It might have done something weird. It's just PCs. And that's the other thing. If a Windows update comes out and you don't download it, it's going to run like shit. Well, some people don't update Windows right away.
I mean, you shouldn't update Windows right away.
You shouldn't update right. I do, because I'm an idiot, and it's just like auto update while I'm shutting down. Sure. But, like, I haven't updated OBS in I don't know how long. I don't update OBS because I don't know if it's going to run properly. I wait to hear about it, and, like, it tells me all the time, there's an update. You want to update? No, I'm good with what I got. It runs fine. It works perfectly fine. I'm okay with this. I don't need an update. But if you didn't update a simple driver, if you didn't update your Wi-Fi card driver, your game's going to run like shit. That has nothing to do with your game. That's not an online game. But your game's going to run like shit if you didn't update your Wi-Fi card driver.
Yeah. No, I mean, that is actually true.
Mm-hmm.
But not always. Not always. That's the thing. Sometimes it still runs fine. Yeah. Like PCs are just weird like that. And like, yes, consoles get updates, and technically any game that's developed nowadays, like, I mean, even before, they're developed using a PC. Like, people aren't typing code onto the PS5. Like, they're doing it on a PC. They're running it inside Unity or Unreal or whatever engine. But when it comes down to it, they are bug fixing and QA testing and gearing it towards the hardware that's inside of the console. So, like, and this is probably the one place where console exclusivity could have some small difference is take, like, Naughty Dog, for instance. Because their games are always meant for PlayStation, and it's generally, lately at least, like, they've been releasing games, like, mid to late generation. Like, they're usually not launch titles. By that point, like, they can get a lot out of that specific hardware.
Mm-hmm.
If they were just handed a dev kit for an Xbox, odds are they wouldn't be able to do the same stuff. Like, would the games work? Absolutely. Would they look as good? Probably not, because they have tools meant for that Sony ecosystem.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, console exclusivity seems dumb, and it's fine if that's how companies need to make money. Like, I get it. They need to push people towards their platform to sell their things. I get it. but like the public needs to just fucking get over it and stop bitching about it. Like it's actually hurting them.
I'm gonna make this argument. Microsoft isn't selling games at all anymore, and I think they're making plenty of money. And like I'm a little exaggerating here, but so many people have Game Pass, and how many studios has Microsoft bought recently that everything gets released on Game Pass day and date?
Well, I mean, they've also closed a couple of studios, and I think financials came out that they're actually not making as much as you think.
Game Pass isn't doing well. Like they just recently announced price bumps on Game Pass and kind of backtracking on some day one shit.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Well, then you know what? This is why games shouldn't be exclusive. Because you know what? If you want to play it on our thing, you have our thing. If you want to play it on everyone else, you have to pay $60. But also, I totally expect Game Pass is a great deal, and I totally expect it to go up in price at some point or another. I haven't seen anything for PC prices. I know it's Game Pass Ultimate's going up. I haven't really noticed PC.
Game Pass Ultimate's going from 17 to 20. PC Game Pass is going from 10 to 12.
Yes, all right, so yeah,
that's getting rid of console only if they haven't already.
Yeah, so that's not even. I thought it was already 12. I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was already 12.
Yeah, because like still $12 is not bad. Even frankly, like $20, like depending. Excuse me, as long as you're getting the usage out of it, $20 really isn't bad either.
No,
it just depends. Like how many games are you playing in a month? And would it have been cheaper for you to just buy the one game you were playing than to keep the subscription up?
And yeah, maybe I should have just bought Sea of Thieves. So, like, I pretty much play Sea of Thieves once a week. I could cancel my Game Pass subscription, and I could have bought Sea of Thieves 6 months ago and not and been fine. But you know what? I'll go back to playing other Game Pass games soon. Life of Pi is on there. I want to play that. I'm sure there's other games on there that I haven't gotten around to play because I've just been.
Do you want to try the name of that game again?
Isn't it Life of Pi?
Life of Pi was a movie. Are you thinking of The Lies of P?
Lies of P, yeah, okay.
Life of Pi is like a 15-year-old movie.
Look, it's close enough, okay? You know what I'm talking about. But Lies of P, I believe, is on Game Pass. I'm like, I gotta play. I've been wanting to play that. It's a great time to get it. There's a lot of good stuff on Game Pass.
There is. Like, I don't keep a subscription because I don't use it enough to warrant even like the $12 a month. But there are plenty of times where like I sign up for it for like 2 or 3 months to play through like a handful of games, and it's a great way to try games that like I wouldn't buy otherwise. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but I think that will probably do it.
Yeah, I think that's a show.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you guys agree. In that case, though, so next week we're going to do our next book club, which is going to be the Godfather Part II, because none of us have ever seen Godfather Part I. But other than that, if you would like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All of it helps. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo. You can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And actually, this weekend, I will be up in New York for Anime NYC, which they have moved from November to August.
Oof, that sucks.
Yeah, I'm not super excited about like the August, but it's nice this week, so I'm hoping it's nice on Saturday.
Saturday down here is supposed to be 86 degrees, so
86 isn't the end of the world. It's not going to be 99, so
yeah.
But other than that, Rich, what does your streaming look like?
Twitch.tv/b_walnuts, video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. I'm projecting to potentially have Star Ocean's second story R-Beat next week. So that's really all I got to push. We've been playing Monster Hunter World on Sundays and Sea of Thieves on Thursdays, but potentially Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday next week, I may have Star Ocean's second story R-Beat.
Nice.
So yeah, and if you want to hear, I might be talking about that next Wednesday. Maybe. We'll see.
All right. And with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See yous.
Bye.